Hey, it is Andy with the FensePost Indie Music and Vinyl blog, and a digital copy of Darling's debut LP, Yeah I Know, found its way to me right around its release in 2009, and I quickly became quite a devout fan. They would go on to release two more albums, Perfect Trip in 2013 and Feel Better in 2015, before ultimately calling it quits as a band. I added everything that they released to my collection, including their two 7-inch singles and their 12-inch EP. However, it wasn't until 2019 that Yeah I Know found its way in. Why? Well, it wasn't pressed on vinyl until they gave us this highly limited 10th anniversary pressing. Famous Class Records reissued Yeah I Know as a, like I said, super highly limited 150 copy only release on hand-poured colored wax in 2019. Hand-poured meaning each copy is relatively unique. The highly limited nature of this album means that, yes, it comes with quite a price. As of January of this year, only 2 copies are available on Discogs Marketplace, both from outside the United States, and they'll run you at least $100 US after shipping and tax. Let's take a look inside. This cover matches the cover of the CD version that they released, and the image continues on the back. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but it does come with this really cool insert booklet. Inside the booklet is, an assortment of images with the song titles of the album over the top. And it continues through the album in its entirety. I kind of love this. Usually you would anticipate some kind of illustration or a detailed photo that has, some sort of relevance to the band, but all of these photos seem to be pulled from, history, and given this filter over the top that kind of mimics what you see with the cover. And the vinyl itself, my copy is kind of somewhere between maroon and brown, and has this marble effect to it, which I really dig. In the interview of Darlings that I posted on my FensePost music blog back at the end of 2009, Gumshoe Grant, who conducted the interview, asked the band about the album's packaging. They gave us some insight into selecting old family photos of their parents that resonated with the album's music. So immediately, that takes us straight back to what I was doing with the unboxing. The accompanying booklet insert features matching black and white photos with song title overlays. In fact, the cover itself is said to be Peter's father's band from Moscow circa the 1970s. That's just really cool. Packaging like that of Yeah I Know is really what makes record collecting and music collecting in general special. It's an added physical element that you don't get with today's trend of digital music. It's why I collect, in addition to the experience of putting it on the turntable and so forth. But this was released back in 2009. How has it stood up the test of time? I wrote a review of the album back upon its release in 2009, and back then I emphasized the garage rock characteristics of Yeah I Know. Today, I hear those elements, but they're a little bit more subtle than I think I thought back then. Of course, my music tastes have changed, and my thoughts on garage rock and all of that have progressed a bit. These days, I can't get over the upbeat and poppy nature of songs like Eviction Party and Teenage Girl. This garage pop sound spans the full album. Darlings never fails to give us catchy, upbeat hooks. Eviction Party is playful and reminiscent of your typical carefree nature of, your early 20s college town students. I was one 20 years ago. Album closer If This Is Love takes the garage traits Darlings employs to a whole new level while retaining the fun indie pop sensations found throughout the rest of the album. If This Is Love, I'm Over It, sings the lead singer Peter Rinsky. It's an ode to giving up on love and totally being fine with that decision. We're closing in on 15 years since Yeah, I Know was released. That's next year, 2024. That takes me back to my early 20s. Back in 2009, it had this nostalgic quality to it that reminded me of my college years, not quite 10 years prior. In 2019, that reminiscence was that much stronger. And in that year, I wrote, quote, maybe it stems from me maturing over the past decade and a half, or maybe I just long for the seemingly simplified life of a early 20-something college student. Still green to the adult world and filled with a pseudo-carefree nature. That was 4 years ago now, almost. In 2023, there are hints of that nostalgia, and those words, well, they still ring true, but more than anything, what sticks with me is that it's just solid, catchy, simple, timeless garage pop. Looking back, Darlings is a band I feel was truly underrated, to be honest, and this release is what drew me in the first place. For that, it will always hold a special place in my heart. Each time I dig into this record, or to be honest, any of their LPs, I'm reminded of how good Darlings actually were and why I was drawn to them in the first place. Yeah, I Know is the only release by Darlings that is entirely out of print on vinyl. I'll have a link down into the description where you can find everything else of theirs on their Bandcamp page. So don't forget to check that out. Check out my posts as well on Yeah, I Know in the description, and I will see you next time.